I'm joined now by Andrew Berman, CEO of Harborside, Inc. Andrew, welcome back.
Hey, thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me again.
You bet, Andrew. Harborside has suffered the slings and arrows of this horrible cannabis market, like every other cannabis provider. But having spent a bit of time in Harborside stores, I have a high level of confidence that Harborside is, one of the best equipped companies to emerge on the other side of the stock market darkness to, succeed in its endeavors. It's one of the oldest companies that's been in this business for a long time. And I think I want to focus on that a bit in this interview because investors particularly, don't seem to appreciate fully how the experience of a long-term operator in this business, especially in the California market, is probably something that you just can't buy, you can't acquire, you can't hire. I mean, it's the rarest commodity in the legal cannabis space. So tell me about, the history of Harborside overall, initially, because a lot of people just don't know that.
Yeah. So, and I agree. Let me just say that right off the agree. Harborside has been doing this since 2006. We have weathered many, many things, and this is just one more along the way. These are stock market issues, and we have operating assets and an operating history that's going to weather all this. And that's really the message here. We've been doing retail since 2006. We have stores that are seeing 1,000 people a day. They're spending $85 when they come in the door. We're seeing, so our sales are strong. We've got high quality cannabis being produced at a farm in Monterey County. We'll do $13 million US in sales this year, and that's exactly and a healthy balance sheet. I think that's the other big thing that folks in the market need to understand. I'm not worried about getting through the winter and getting myself to summer and doing the things we need to do to keep the stores the way they're operating and the farm intact too. And today what you have is that vertically integrated business, and you've got retail stores, and you've got our Harborside brand and our Key brand that we launched earlier this year, and we're adding a woman's brand that's coming out too. So if I didn't have to wake up every day and look at the stock price, unfortunately people call me up and say, Andy, what's going on? If I didn't have to look at that, I come to work every day, everything's fine, right? The operating assets are existing and moving forward.
Right. Okay, and you recently announced that key executives and board members and insiders were submitting to a voluntary lockup of shares. And I think I know, what the motivation is behind all that, but I thought it would be best for the audience to hear it straight from the horse's mouth. What is behind that voluntary lockup, and what's the benefit for the investors?
Well, so there's a couple of things going on there. We, of course, comply with all the CSE regulations in terms of the ability of insiders and large shareholders to sell shares. And the concern from the investor side is nobody wants a flood of shares sitting on the market. What we also did was add a contractual lockup, because under the CSE rules you can sell some of your shares at listing, and we wanted everybody to know that that wasn't our intent, that our insiders and our promoters and our large shareholders and management and board and directors all very committed to this business. And so we entered into a voluntary contractual lockup for 4 months. And what you saw there is an extension of that. And why? Because we're still committed to the business, right? And if there are concerns in this tender market that's out there that more shares are going to come on the market because people want to get out of this business, you're wrong. We like it. We're going to stay in. We're going to go longer in it.
Okay. Great. Well then, so this is in addition to the other escrow agreements that you're subjected to as a matter of course by the exchange.
That's correct. Yeah, the CSE rules generally say you can sell 10% at listing, and then 15% every 6 months thereafter. And what we did is we said we weren't going to sell anything when we list, and we're going to extend that contractual lockup as well too. And I know that's a good message for the market. And in fairness, there's some other companies that have done that well too. And it's important for investors, it's important for current investors and future investors to know that the key people behind the company are committed to the company and aren't intending to get out and try to make a quick buck.
Great. I find that very comforting as an investor. In the California market, you've got still a high presence of unlicensed vendors, and you've got all kinds of new entrants coming in. My observation in visiting as many of these sites as possible is it's like so many people seem to be getting into the cannabis retail game just because they can. And they haven't really brought a well thought out retail strategy or any demonstrated ability to, produce product proprietarily or even, negotiate reasonable terms for other products. And so I find it interesting that, in the case of Harborside, in the case of some of your competitors, the retail experience is good. It's mature, it's sophisticated, the products are good, the packaging's good. Now, in the realm of those that are either not licensed, which it's impossible to tell when you walk into one of these places whether they're licensed or not, they all pretend to be, and
Right.
then that level of pro packaging extends to the products themselves. I guess now with this new California track and trace system, is that going to start to level the playing field in favor of the licensed retailers?
Well, that remains to be seen. Compliance is the only thing, and enforcement is the only thing that's really going to regulate the illicit market. What I worry about, what a number of the retailers and folks in the business worry about, frankly, throughout the value chain, it's going to happen at the cultivation side too, is compliance with the metric system, which is what you're referring to, is an added cost, an added burden. So we actually hope it doesn't do the opposite, which is make it harder for folks who are kind of on the edge in terms of their ability to make ends meet, now have an additional regulatory hurdle to do seed to sale tracking up and down the value chain. What's really going to be needed here is just enforcement, right, at the local and at the state level, and that's the best thing that we can have right now to have the illicit market managed,
right,
for the public to understand the value that comes with the regulated market. And I think this whole vape gate thing is an example of that too, right? Because folks should be getting the right message there, that the regulated market, the folks that are complying, the ones that are legal, are the ones that you should be getting your products from.
right. Okay, and also you recently announced that you'd acquired full ownership of San Leandro Wellness Solutions.
Right.
How core is that to your growing business?
Well, it's very important, right? By being able to do a buyout of our joint venture partnership there, we now capture all the revenues under IFRS, the Canadian equivalent of GAAP, and we have always had a relationship there where we were going to operate that store and brand it as a Harborside store. But this really allows us to have full control over the store and also consolidate the revenues on the top line. That's very, very important for us.
Okay. Great. And so what else is happening in the Harborside sort of universe that you can tell us about that should get us excited?
No, it's all, look, like I said, it's just, there's so many good things happening. I honestly do. I go to bed and wake up at night very, very excited. This is a fantastic market in California. More cities are opening up. Our farm has turned the corner and is really producing high quality cannabis at scale. We're opening up Desert Hot Springs, which has a drive-through, which is only the second drive-through in the state, and under the current regulations will probably be the last drive-through in the state. So that's right down there in Desert Hot Springs. We now own San Leandro fully. We have our 2 flagship stores. I'm very, very close. I said publicly that we are after another store down in San Jose. I still feel good about being able to acquire that store. That puts us in 7 stores, 2 states, a thriving business. Key is getting great traction. We've sold into about 90 stores in California, and we're launching a woman's brand. So this notion of and to the extent we have excess cannabis coming off the farm, we're able to sell that to some of our partners whose products are coming onto our shelves. That's important to us. These are harder times, so we're keeping that ecosystem alive. Made some great hires. We'll be announcing those. We'll have a wonderful person coming in to head up retail from outside the cannabis industry, but a real powerhouse. We've run many stores and multi-million-dollar businesses. Have a strong. That's Lisa Poor. Mireille Duclos is coming in also to head up HR for us. She's got, Sears Canada, Sears US, Nestle Canada, Nestle US, cross-border issues, multi-state operations. So rounding out the management team, adding brands, vertically integrated, the farm producing product, new stores opening up. Life's good. It's good. It's good.
Awesome, Andrew. Well, that's a great update. I'm glad to hear things are progressing so well for you. I look forward to seeing you down there soon again. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure.
Absolutely. Thank you.